Welcome to Clixed Off, brought to you by Lucky Dice Cafe out of Huntsville, Alabama. Check them out at luckydicecafé.com. And now for your hosts, Daniel Powell, Jason Alvey, Alex Coons, and Tyler Speeds.
Hey everybody, welcome to Clixed Off today. This is your host Daniel Powell speaking. Just want to let everybody know Clixed Off is brought to you by TrollandToad.com, world's largest HeroClix retailer. Find HeroClix new and old on TrollandToad.com and use coupon code CLIXEDOFF for 5% off your HeroClix order. And if you like what you're hearing today on Clixed Off, check us out patreon.com/ClixedOff. $1 and above gets entered into our monthly giveaways. $5 and above gets entered into our Discord server for exclusive HeroClix strategy and tactics discussion. So depending on when this one airs, I do have the brick of Spider-Man to give away from March, and we'll get a new giveaway up for April here soon. So pretty exciting stuff. So we appreciate all of our Patreon supporters. And joining me today is Jason Apathetic Alvey.
Yeah, that's me. I don't care about anything.
That's probably accurate. And also joining me today is Alex. Finally got his team for Rock Cup teams put together. Coos.
Sorta, but yeah, getting there.
I'm very excited. You were stressing me out, Alex. You're stressing me out by not having a team ready.
Yeah, no, you kept sending me texts at all times at night. I think you had them automated, which was a little weird. Of like, what's your team? What's your team? What's your team? So I thought that was a little weird.
Mm-hmm. The carrier pigeon, was my last final attempt there at trying to get something out of you.
Yeah, they're extinct, I think, right? So that's very extreme.
Not extinct, just powered by 5G now.
Oh, I see. There we go.
So, and our special guest tonight is Kyle. Chose us as a prize, which we're extremely thankful for. Parent.
That's me. I'm the special one tonight.
Yeah. So you're, I thought about this one. Like Brad, messaged me last minute. He's like, "Can I give away a special guest spot on your show?" And we did one a few weeks ago for his free tournament, and I was like, "Sure." And I suppose one of these things could always bite us in the butt. But I figure for the most part, right, for the overwhelming majority of folks that are actually going to pick that as a prize, actually want to be on the show, and gives us some new, some different perspectives from folks that just normally aren't on the podcast circuit for HeroClix. So we're excited to have you on.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of people who weren't really interested in just being on a podcast in general. They're, too shy, or I'm not sure, but I was like, I'll do it.
Yeah, sounds good. How did you do in that tournament? Where did you end up placing?
Let's see. I made it to top cut. I think I was number 7, and so I just barely made it in the top cut, and then I lost in the first match. But I was pretty happy with that.
What did you play?
Oh, I did a mostly Carnage team, so that was a lot of fun. I had Carnage Surfer and had Venom Thanos in there, spreading around his nonsense to all the monsters, and then I had the OP Genesis and Apocalypse combo to kind of tie them all to a theme together.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's cool sounding.
That's cool. Yeah, it was fun. I wasn't the most competitive team I could have done, but I was like, oh man, I just want to get these figures together.
Yeah. Well,
how did Venom Thanos do for you?
He did surprisingly well. I was actually thinking that he wasn't. I was like, it'll be great when I get leadership to spread that around. But really, even the turns that he didn't get the leadership, I think he pulled his weight for, the 50-point line. And then there were a couple times where I got the leadership and he was in a good spot and I had like 7 or 8 probability controls and that was awesome.
Nice.
I'm excited to hear that you did well with him. Because that was a pretty big tournament. So.
Yeah, I think there was 23 people, I think it ended up being.
Oh, yeah, that is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a pretty good sized tournament to make top 8 in. So, congratulations on your performance there.
Thank you.
So tonight's episode, we were talking about it in the pre-show here. Like, we haven't had a lot to talk about. There really hasn't.
We have not.
I don't know what to say. There's not a lot to talk about not having a lot to talk about.
We've been considering just turning the podcast into a snap podcast.
Not really. More chicken wings. I've turned into a chicken wing podcast before a snap podcast.
Chicken wings and snap. Let's go.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've got more stuff now. I mean, we've got the all the rock stuff, Rock Cup, HeroClix for Huntington stuff was finally released. More of the prizing, or actually all of the prizing was finally released.
And some cool prizing.
Yeah, some cool prizing. So we want to talk about that a little bit tonight. We want to talk about each day of the Rock Cup. And then I want to talk about some Silver Age stuff in there. And then we want to talk about the rulings that we got this morning.
Boo.
Yeah, not excited about some of that stuff. But at any rate, let's just hop in. Kyle, look, I mean, anything that you want to talk about, just chime in. You got to speak up. Whatever you want to talk about, any of this kind of stuff. So Thursday's schedule starts at 7. So it's the Tracy Bach Memorial event. Alex, did you play with us last year?
Yeah. It was you, me, and Caleb, I believe, right?
No, it wasn't Caleb. It was TJ, I think.
Was it TJ?
I don't think Caleb got there.
I thought it was.
No, it might have been Caleb. Maybe TJ was running late.
I think I remember Caleb because of our pulls, and we pulled like garbage.
Yeah, we pulled
really bad.
I mean, I like the format, right? So it's team sealed, but one booster comes from a different brick.
Yeah, and it's all old sets. Like, it's all random sets. I don't remember what sets we even had last time.
I remember we had Slosh and Chaos War. Chaos War, because it had Sentry and Void. And then,
we did not pull any of the good stuff of any of those sets.
Gosh, it was such a... We played 2 rounds and then quit, and I think we went to the Mexican restaurant and drank some beers. So
yeah, it was rough, but it was fun. Like, it was fun to play with these old pieces, even with new rules. It was neat. It was fun. Like, it was just generally fun because it's the opening event, right? It's Thursday night. Not everyone's making it on Thursday night. If you're on the fence about coming on Thursday night, it's a very relaxed event. It's very much an opening. Hey, it's not hyper competitive, even though the prizing is good. Like, for this event, I mean, first place gets a Wonder Woman 80 factory set.
Now,
pretty damn awesome.
Now, Alex, is that... I noticed that a lot of that stuff was lined out for each player, but for this particular one, it's a Wonder
It's just
Woman,
one.
It's one factory set for the 3 players to arm wrestle, mud wrestle, jello wrestling, pudding wrestling.
Correct. Yeah,
Right.
it's just one factory set that you have to say, well, I did better. My record was way better than yours.
I didn't
that type
bother,
of
so
thing.
I get scared.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, but I think that was better than what it was last year. I don't remember exactly what it was, but that's probably because it wasn't comparative to this. But either way,
you get a trophy. Even.
Yeah.
Whiz kids don't give trophies, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the
And they
Rock
don't
gets
even have to
trophy.
split the trophy. They got it for each of them.
Yeah.
Each
No
person will get a trophy.
moves.
Each person will get a trophy, and the rock map is going to be the this year's special rock map for the cup. It's just we put rock map because it hasn't been previewed or released yet.
So it's not the one that was designed by either of the winners. Last year it was. Last year's was. Oh shit! Was it the Friday Night Lights based one?
I think if it says rock map, then it
Panther
should
Fieldhouse.
It should.
Yes.
Yeah, it should be the winners. The winners of.
Well, no.
Panthers. It's
the
rock based one. It's not the Scott Porter one.
Right. Yeah. So Panther Fieldhouse was the rock based one. Yeah. The rock / Scott Porter one. So Thursday would be the teams or the singles winner.
Yeah, so there's two. If you see maps listed on there, rock map is going to be the team winner from last year, or whoever won like the design a map for the rock. That is that map. If it says HFH, that is going to be the Scott Porter map. Because remember, each year he makes a map for HeroClix for Huntington's, and that goes for sale that you could buy, and then the prize for the event is like a variant of it.
Gotcha.
So it has like either a gold trim or it's got some like different cool highlights on it. But that is the HeroClix for Huntington map. So Thursday is the rock map. So I
still have some of those maps from last year for sale. Hit me up, yo.
And these maps are the bigger maps, the 2x3, whatever it's called.
2x3.
2x3. Yeah, it is the bigger maps for this year. So.
Yeah, but I mean, even for entering, right? If I understand here, missed cuts, everybody that enters gets a Hulk and She-Hulk and Ace the Bat Hound.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not an awful payback for your $15 either.
Yeah, and you get the boosters. I mean, you could pull something in those. I mean, it's not like you have to get the figures back.
Yeah. I mean, Jason, we're playing with Caleb on Thursday. Right? Yeah, so yeah, last year we threw away all of our clicks.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if I don't remember if I kept one or two.
You may have. We probably just threw them all at you, and we're like, we're going to go drink beer. That was bad.
Yeah. But either way, if you're on the fence about coming down Thursday, it's a ton of fun. It's by far the going to your local and playing in a tournament with a ton of people. Like, that's the kind of vibe where it's like, it's not really hyper competitive where you're worried about. So, like, if you're not a super competitive player, absolutely show up on Thursday and play, because that is, and even if you are, that's fine too. It is very much a fun event where even if you don't pull well, you're like, okay, well, that's all right, because I'd rather that happen now than on Friday.
Right. Friday, let's see, let's look at the prize. I do like is the 5 uses of prob, is that up from 3 last year?
No, I think it was 5 before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember
that's the same.
I remember I used one I remember I used all 5 every game.
Yep.
So let's see. First place, this is probably the lightest amount of prizing for the weekend. First place gets the Avengers 60 booster brick. Second place gets the Batman team up brick. And then you've got your bystanders and variant maps throughout, all the way out till 16th place.
Yeah, it's light in one sense.
It's prized heavy, right? It's prized deep. And the only reason I say it's prized light is I typically only focus on the big prizes. Right. So that's just me, right? Like, what's the biggest thing that you can get? For myself personally, I'm swimming in some of this stuff still, I
think the key takeaway from here is that your $40 is probably, like, outside of having a fun event, this is getting a set 6 weeks early.
Mm-hmm.
Avengers 60th doesn't drop till June, and we're getting it for this. So your $40, you could pull a super rare, and you could probably low key just turn around and sell that.
Yeah, sell it for your $40
back.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, you could get your money back because there are people that just don't want to have the hassle of getting every piece released. They just want it early. They want to be able to have all the figures early. So there's an added benefit of, hey, and one thing I'm interested to see is what the madhouse is going to be when we get all of this. And it's like, hey, we also don't know anything about all these figures. No one is going to know that ahead of time.
Well, so that's
what I think sounds awesome with it is just not even knowing what you could pull. Usually going into these sealed things, you kind of have an idea of what you want, but this is just going to be completely winging it.
So we're hoping eBay doesn't spoil it or Amazon doesn't ship early. But like Barnes Table asked your only question for tonight, and part of it was, for the Avengers 60 is sealed, how do you plan for mulligans where you don't know what is in it beyond the boosters you just opened? So based on what I remember from the top teams from sealed last year, Iron Allfather won it all at 300. I was in top 8 with Absolute Carnage. I think Crampton had like Chase Rocket from War of the Realms, and he got second. But like, I think like you plan on mulligans. By the way, I bought 4 mulligans last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I plan on buying I think there's only a mulligan allowed this year, right?
No, so mulligans are going to be allowed per how much we have. We have a certain amount of Avengers because we're getting basically everything that WizKids currently has for Avengers. So the first off, the fear of eBay getting it, it's probably unlikely they're going to get it 6 weeks early, but it's also extra unlikely because we're getting kind of what WizKids already has in stock. So probably what they would have already been sending to some of these places. The other thing with that is that we do have a limit, obviously. We don't want there to be a weird thing where it's like, if everyone gets 2 boosters of Avengers but we run out, well, that's not going to work. So we have it built in where we have Spider-Man Beyond Amazing available to where if we get over, I believe the threshold was like 80 plus or more players, we'd have to go down to 1 booster each, so that way we could still do mulligans. So if that was the case,
I don't think we're going to have 80 players.
From what we've heard, we might. I mean, we're preparing in the event that we do, because I think this type of mega pre-release, the Rock Cup being on an actual good weekend this year, as opposed to last year, like and people like really wanting events, I think it could draw a really good crowd. But we have fail safes built in, and so if we get above, I think it's 80. Don't quote me on that. We would drop it down to where everyone gets 1 Spider-Man, 1 Avengers, but that would also free up a decent amount of Avengers to then say, okay, now you can mulligan, and you can mulligan. You have to mulligan both boosters, I believe is how we have it written.
That's right. Yeah,
and so you'd get 1 and 1 again.
Yeah, so I opened up boosters last year until I got something that was worth a shit. And which I'm totally prepared to do this year is many. So like, what's my plan for Avengers? Not knowing it, my plan for Avengers is like looking at my figures, like looking at my boosters, and saying, did I get anything worth a shit? And like if it's like piddly Clix without powers, with blank blocks of powers, then I'm probably trying to mulligan. And if it's a mix of Spider-Man and Avengers 60, I'm probably trying to mulligan until I get like a really good Spider-Man piece.
Yeah, and I assume we're going to be monitoring the mulligans too, because we don't really want people just to mulligan for the sake of getting a lot more of Avengers. You know what I mean? Like to get product that is 6 weeks early. So like if someone's just, hey, I want to mulligan 7 times or something ridiculous, and they're not really even opening their boosters, they're just kind of, you know, I don't think anyone would do that, but there is that concern of, hey, this is getting something incredibly early. Is someone just going to try to get as much product so they can go sell it? That's something to keep in mind. I think I'll keep an eye out. One thing also that was added on there recently, and I had come up with the idea, is that this is all. No one needs to bring maps. No one is playing on their own maps. We will have the Spider-Man release day maps available, and those will be put down on every table, so you'll flip them back and forth.
So, to be clear,
the 2x2s.
To be clear, that's not on the event. That's super awesome, Alex. I don't see that on the Friday schedule.
I put it on there, but I will go back and double check.
I mean, I'm looking. No, I don't see it.
Yeah,
so...
maybe it didn't save. Let me make sure I didn't save it on the wrong day.
Right.
Either way, though, we just found that out. We were waiting to hear from WizKids on that one, and we found that out recently. So
yeah, I did not say that.
Yeah, hopefully I didn't put it on another page. But either way, that is the plan. Because my concern, and I brought this up, was I don't want games to go long because all these figures are built for small maps, right? They all should have the values. And so I feel like being forced to play those on the bigger maps is just going to be painstaking and being very dumb of, oh, we got to now cross this whole field on these very meager values. And this also alleviates kind of we want this event. Remember, this event is to bring everyone together. It's to bring new players, old players, returning players, everyone coming in to play together. So I feel like this would help speed up the event. It'll allow for you don't have to worry about bringing maps. It's just you get your 2 boosters, build your team, come down, sit down. So we need to update that, but I just heard about it, I think, like yesterday or this morning, that we did get the approval for that. So do not plan on bringing your maps for this, because we will have a 2x2 map available, which I think is going to be better. I think with the values, it'll be good.
Right.
You don't have to worry about some hijinks on, oh, hey, who's playing on this really crummy map no one wants to play on? Great. It's like, no, everyone has access to the same 2 maps. So
me, I want to play on the crummy map.
Yeah, and those 24 squares are a lot more intimidating when you've got like hypersonic guys with 7 speed.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, so
but we also don't want a lot of, like, my worry is if it was on the 2x3 maps, we'd get a lot of really, really low scoring or like some 0-0 losses, because it's like, well, we're not engaging because someone has to make that move that's going to expose them.
Yeah,
and they won't do that.
Welcome to Seal. So I think the other thing is like, so if Spider-Man's mixed in, like if there's a known quantity in there, like I'm just taking a look here, I'm probably mulliganing, like assuming there's not some super good piece in Avengers 60 that somebody yells out, OMG, this piece is really cool. Right? Or probably not, because they'll probably be like, tee, you're going to keep it to myself. Either way, it's fine. I get it. Both attitudes are fine. but like I'm probably mulliganing until I get like a Spider Supreme or a super rare Spider-Man or one of the chases that are worth a shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not playing in the event obviously because I'm, helping run the event.
Right.
But I'll be running social media, so I think one of my main goals is running the stream. But I'm also going to be running around taking as many pictures of the cards and of the figures as possible, because it's like that's going to be a madhouse for me because it's a lot of the content creators there are going to be playing, like Dan, and you guys will probably post like here's our cards and whatnot. But like, there's going to be a lot of things previewed in this event, which is cool.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be kind of what I figure I'll be doing a lot of is, oh yeah, what's this? Oh, cool. What's this? Cool.
Yeah. Makes
sense.
I mean, I would just wanted to add or Venom Thanos. Would try to also pull Venom Thanos.
But that adds also to the pricing a little bit. Keep in mind, the first place does get a whole brick of Avenger 60, which you might think, well, that's just a brick, but it's also a brick 6 months early. So, like, if you don't even have to open it, and you could probably sell it sealed for a lot of money as well, because there are people who would love that. I mean, look at the auctions, right? I know the auction for this event is obviously for charity, so it's quite a bit different, but people love getting things early. So
it takes a lot of self-control to not open those. If you get
it would, absolutely would. But everyone will also get the whatever bystander Scott Crampton made. That has not been released yet either, or at least shown or anything like that. And I feel like that's happening soon. That Scott Porter is going to be doing some sort of video or live feed kind of showcasing a lot of this stuff leading up to the event. But.
So I also wanted to say, like, I haven't commented this because I don't want to seem like being a braggart or whatever, but I really hope Scott gets to preview my legacy card at some point soon. I have no idea if he's going to get to or not, but I hope he gets that.
I'll ask. I don't know, but I can ask him. So.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool. I mean, they did Adams last year.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I'll ask him. I hadn't even considered it. So
yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things I haven't asked or like brought it up to anybody because I don't want it to seem like it's self-serving. But like, I don't know, be kind of cool to see what they did with the legacy card I requested. So.
Yeah, and just a reminder to everyone, once again, if you're debating about, do I want to drive down to Huntsville? Do I want to go to the event? You know what? If you don't want to come for the weekend, you can absolutely have a wonderful time coming in Thursday night, spending the night Thursday, doing the event on Thursday, Friday, playing the Friday event. And then if you don't want to partake in Silver Age, no problem. You could just go home and do whatever on Saturday, or playing some of our BRs.
You can leave.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. And another thing to keep in mind with the Scott Porter versus the World event, the Fellowship has changed this year. Last year, I didn't think about it when we were doing this episode, whether I was going to be like detailing the stuff about the Rock Cup or not.
I'm a little bit sad about. And this might not sound great, but I'm a little bit sad about the prizing that has been given to Fellowship versus
what's that?
Versus being able to win it on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we'll get to Sunday, but Fellowship. So the one thing we wanted to take away, and Scott was emphasizing this more, is like Fellowship is kind of the main focus of HeroClix for Huntingtons, right? That whole aspect of this is everyone coming together to play, and it's the hyper competitive to the casual, making sure everyone is kind of satisfied and able to win things. And the downside is if you play in a big tournament, obviously the hyper competitive are probably going to do more, right? Or like, not do more, but win more. They'll obviously place better. Doesn't mean you couldn't. Definitely in an event like this, but I'm talking more like for the Silver Age stuff, Saturday and Sunday. So the fellowship is to kind of help offset that. There's, I believe, like last year we had different fellowship prizes or titles, like worst luck.
Yeah,
stuff
I mean,
like that.
Yeah, you mean so like the big thing is for me is for Sunday is, I mean, for being able to win at the event. There's no WizKids element to be able to design. So
Right.
Saturday you get to, you can win the design a bystander for the team. And then Sunday you don't get your own bystander or legacy card, right? The design of bystander and the legacy card went to fellowship, right? So like,
Right.
So like, I'll phrase it this way just for folks to get a little understanding. I understand the fellowship part, and I understand where Porter wants to make it a fellowship based thing. I'm totally behind that, but I'm a very much a results driven person in my life, so I can't go win fellowship, right? I can't come in with a set of objectives and win fellowship. So that just goes against, like, I don't, and goes against is probably not the right word to use. It's counterintuitive to my standard mode of operation, right? Is that, like, if I want to get a thing, I should be able to follow a certain set of criteria to get said thing, and I can't quite do that with a fellowship prize. So,
Well, before we get to Sunday, let's go to Saturday. Let's talk Saturday's event. Prizing, and then we could come back and talk about Silver Age in general if you want.
yeah.
So the Saturday event is the Scott Porter HeroClix for Huntington's Invitational. That is the team Extreme Highlander Silver Age event. I know all three of us are on a team play. We could go over our teams after we kind of get through some of this, I think. But the key takeaway with that is that everything is basically unique. The main thing that isn't is equipment and game elements that come from outside the game. So that's kind of standard, right? If it comes from outside the game, you're not writing that on a build sheet. So there's not really a way to say, oh, who's using what. So that is not it. That is excluded, but otherwise it's just you can only play one of basically anything. The only difference is if it's something that creates additional ones, right? Like Cable has a trait that lets you have more cables, that's fine. But if it's something like Dr. Fates, where it's like, well, you pay to have more, I don't think that one's okay. Because they don't add copies. Actually, that one might be okay. I'd have to double check that one. That example. The main thing is you can only use one of figures between all three teams, which is huge. But I think it's less huge this year because I was building a team. Because Jason and Dan had already kind of had a good idea on what they wanted to play. So when I went to build a team, because this is the largest, it feels like, well, Silver Age is going to continue to grow and grow. I didn't run out of pieces. The only time I ran into, oh, Dan's using that piece, was when I was looking at Cosmic, and I was like, oh, he's already using St. Walker. Okay. Not that big of a loss, but like, all right, I just won't use that one. Which is neat. I'm excited for Silver Age because of that, because it means Extreme Highlander doesn't feel as extreme.
Yeah, just because there's so many pieces, right?
Yeah. But for the prizing for this one, the team gets some pretty good stuff, I feel like. In this case, like Dan was saying, the design of bystander or map will be in this one. And it's one per team. Obviously, we all don't decide 3 bystanders. But we would design, whoever wins gets to decide if they want to do the bystander or do the map. And then second place gets whichever the other one didn't want. And then they get a factory set of Disney Plus, and then all the other normal stuff. Pretty darn good pricing for a Team Silver Age event.
And it's really, so I want to be clear, right? It's very good pricing for the team event throughout, product-wise, right? Even every player getting a John Cena is super duper awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be clear that I'm not like I'm not doing anything here. I just want to be clear.
You just did do. So I mean, you sort of did.
Well, like, yeah. So I mean, it's a difference in my do's. But
the key thing you're saying, Dan, is your standards for tournament is different than other people. You measure your success differently off of the pricing. You like higher pricing because you want to be able to design things in the game that's like, hey, this came from Daniel Powell.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah, that's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Not everyone would love to do that, but a lot of people are also and everyone's happy with a lot of this stuff too. I mean, it's going to be, I think, a really good event. The pricing for this year definitely equals what we had last year. It's just divvied up different.
Right.
We put more into fellowship because we wanted to emphasize the fellowship aspect of HeroClix for Huntingtons. And this is based off of not just Scott, it's WizKids, it's everyone involved saying, how do we want to balance all of this, basically, to make sure we're catering to not just the ultra-competitive players, but we're catering to everyone that enters. And so that's why the fellowship isn't just on bad luck anymore, right? Like, oh, this guy just rolled a lot of ones. It's like, no,
I did that.
Yeah, it's not based off of that anymore. It's based off of just general fellowship. Like, oh yeah, so you rolled real bad. Well, how did you handle that? Like, were you negative? Did you just throw your dice down? Or, did your players, it's all about being a good sport. It's about having a good time. So it's like the point of fellowship is like personifying what it means to be a good HeroClix player, not just in talent and ability, but also attitude and performance. Like it's all of the above. So that's why also, to kind of cater a little bit what you were talking about, that's why there's not a fellowship for like most themed team, I guess, isn't one of them either. That doesn't mean that won't play into the fellowship consideration. It's all about the player and how they conducted themselves throughout the tournament, or throughout that specific tournament, or throughout the weekend for the overall weekend one. So it's good. I like that they moved the pricing to that. I will be remiss if I didn't mention also Friday night. Howard would get real mad if I hadn't mentioned this. Don't forget Friday night. So after the Scott Porter versus the World, if you're not participating, if you're not coming to Huntsville, don't forget all of this weekend long they're doing online BRs. Brad Broyles is running them. That'll be great. You'll have an opportunity to get some of the bystanders and also tarot cards. There's going to be random tarot cards as prizing as well. But Friday night, starting at 8 p.m.-ish Central Time, we'll be live streaming the finale of the Auxxit auction. There's going to be a lot of really, really good stuff on there. Avengers 60th. There's a lot of stuff. We haven't put last year we put a full list. We haven't put that yet because we're still waiting on a few things, right? Like making sure we have them. We don't want to commit to something if it isn't going to be there. But there's all sorts of factors that chase Prime Sex. There's going to be the design Switch Clix is back in there again. Convention exclusives, signed maps, all sorts of stuff is going to be there. So if you can't be in person, but you still want to participate, please don't be afraid to just hop on Auxxit. I believe I heard that they have a desktop version of it now. I may be wrong, but I think I heard that they finally rolled one out. But I hope that's true. But either way, do not miss that. We're also going to have the Hall of Fame inductions. Whether you like that or not, I think it's cool to have a Hall of Fame for HeroClix. So I've been listening to the people talk about that in a group chat, and it's going to be fun. I think the Hall of Fame is a really neat idea, and I'm glad Howard's doing it. Anything else you guys want to talk about for Saturday before we jump to Sunday?
No, I don't think so. And Barnestable's other part of the question is, who do you think is going to be in the Hall of Fame? And I don't know. The answer is we don't.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, you probably know Alex and can't comment, but it just, I don't know. We don't talk about it. We stopped doing like voting for Player of the Year. It's not about individual players when it comes to this stuff. For me, it's about the community and promoting the community and making sure that people have events to go play at and we can all play together.
Yeah, I think
that's what it's about more for me. I mean, I get Hall of Fame's cool, whatever. Not particularly something I'm not going to guess about.
Yeah. I think with the Hall of Fame, it's going to, for a little while, potentially suffer with kind of what, I don't know, what was it, the NFL or the Baseball Hall of Fame, where it's like you're going to have this backlog of players, like players that may not play the game anymore, or, maybe they played recently, but you haven't heard from them. You're going to have that backlog of, well, should they get in? Should they not get in? Like, they were huge for the game for like a decade, but maybe they haven't played since COVID. You're always going to have those type of players out there until they're all inducted, right? Not saying that's what's happening here. I honestly don't remember who is being inducted right now because I have not paid attention to the chat on purpose, because I didn't want to spill any info. But either way, it's going to be fun to listen to. It's always fun to watch. And then we go on to Sunday, which is the Silver Age Singles World Championship. Big key thing here is this is the World Championship for Silver Age.
Yay. That is exciting. I know my yay wasn't very indicative of that being an actual yay.
Yay, slow clap.
No, it is exciting, and I will say this: it is exciting from my perspective after all those years of folks saying, "Ooh, it was a rock thing, not a, whatever, not a WizKids thing." Well, this is a WizKids supported Silver Age championship for the World Championship. So for all those folks over the years that were like, "The Rock is not a real World Championship," well, guess what? It is. It has been, and it will be.
Yeah. I think Silver Age, I'm hoping, continues to grow. I think having to build it recently, I think it's still a really, really cool format. I know there's still the hunger for Modern, obviously, but I don't know, guys. With the recent announcement, or it's not recent anymore, the announcement with rotation being pushed to October. And so there's a lot of people that are kind of soured on Modern because it's like, well, now that means a lot of figures we hoped were rotating are not.
Hey, welcome to... Yeah, you're talking to one of them.
Yeah, so it's like, does the sour... I mean, I know the souring of Modern does not suddenly mean Silver Age is more ideal because those figures would exist in Silver Age anyway. But...
it's mainly Scarab for me.
Which is banned in Silver Age.
Yeah,
so that's why Silver sounds good to me. Is no Scarab.
Yeah, that's the other thing I'm trying to emphasize. I hope people understand too.
Can I rant about Scarab yet, Alex?
Sure. Go ahead.
Oh, really? I wasn't expecting you to actually let me do it.
You got to do it every once in a while, man. You don't want to explode it,
No, actually, I did.
I sit at work and all of a sudden, Scarab! And I'm really confused.
It happens to me.
Yeah. Do you have a camera in my office here at the house?
Yeah, they're gonna think you're watching The Mummy or something. They're gonna be real confused while you're talking.
I was like, Scarab. I just randomly say it on calls. No, no, it really is one of those things. Like, I did have a couple of thoughts, right? And those things might be apparent, but like Scarab made its way through its watch list, and I think the big thing that Scarab gets around for me, and I want to be clear, I do have this same complaint about, let's say, Sword Bearer trait. To be clear, I have the same complaint. Scarab gets around equipment being unique.
Sure.
And that is bothersome to me. So there, and it has those other things where, like, if it's not on its card, right, it doesn't actually go away, and everything like that. The clay interaction, the radioactive clay. So it's just, there's these different things that come in that it's just like, like, I'm just glad Scarab's gone. I'm glad Scarab's banned in Silver. It makes me very excited to play Silver, along with some of the other bans. This makes Silver Age a lot more appealing to me these days, because Modern is, guess what? Worlds 2023, which, whatever Critical Clix guys think that they figured out the weekend or whatever, and they may very well have, but guess what? Scarab is the play in Modern. Or if he maybe I shouldn't say the play. Scarab is very much a top figure to play in Modern. Now that we have, ever since we've had the auto equips, right? So maybe it's just been more of a this year thing. He's still very good, in previous iterations of himself, but as of this year, he's a super duper duper auto play. Because you can just get whatever equipment you want and just start copying away with a few of them.
Let me pose a question to you guys real quick. What percentage chance do you think it is that he gets watch listed?
0.
Because their results for watch lists said, well, we're not doing anything because his time is short. Well, I feel
that was a lie.
I think that was probably before they made their decision on when rotation was going to be.
So I'll say this: if he gets watch listed, I'll be happy, but I'm not holding my breath on it or anything.
Well, I'm not. That's what I mean. Like, probability yours is 0. What about the rest of you? What do you guys think?
Probably not very much. There'll probably be 1 or 2 tournaments.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Probably not going to happen. Even though that tournament is Worlds, it's a big deal, but still probably gonna be like, we're not going to watch list it for a couple months.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I think here's the thing: the lack of events is not producing the results. Brad's events are struggling to fire. There's nothing to play towards anymore. At the moment, there's no Worlds announcement. There's no WKO announcement. I understand the reason why States wasn't announced, but States is going to be Silver. And so you have all of these factors where we know that Scarab's going to be a pain in the ass for Worlds this year. But there is no way that we can prove it systematically because there's no results to look at. So,
I disagree. I agree to the extent that there's not a lot of results. We do have PJ's event, which I think is going to be significant enough.
That's 1 out of the 20 that we used to have.
But we also have Nationals. And Nationals, I think the result of Nationals, didn't Thanos get hit between Nationals and Worlds?
No.
Or was it before Nationals?
That was between Canadian Nationals and Worlds.
Okay, well, I could see a similar scenario playing with Scarab. I could see it where maybe it gets played at a Nationals or 2, and then it's like, okay, this is a problem. And we did say, oh, well, this is going away soon, but then we made the decision, oh, it's going to be Worlds. everyone is complaining, kind of like, and you've talked about that before. Oh, everyone complains.
The problem is nobody is complaining.
I think
because there's nothing to complain about.
No, I think a lot of people are. The problem is not a lot of people are complaining specifically about Scarab. They're complaining about like rotation in general. Like, oh, I thought we were getting rid of a lot of these pieces, but not a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm mostly worried about Scarab. Like, that's my biggest fear.
I feel like if they thought,
like Felix Faust and stuff, I'm ready to see him go, but Scarab's the only one that I'm like, man, and I gotta do, 4 more months with Scarab? Come on.
Yeah. I am in the wheelhouse of, I think the chance is higher that they rotate them.
Kyle, it's not 4 months, it's 6 months at this point.
Even better. Yeah.
I feel like if they were that worried about the Wonder Woman figures, they wouldn't have extended their life through Worlds.
I think my theory on that is that they extended it to after Worlds so that way they could get rid of Rise and Fall. And they said Worlds makes sense.
They could have done that anyway.
I know, but the whole concept is I also like the idea of, I like in general the idea of everything rotates after Worlds. The problem is once again, kind of like what the issue we're having with the maps, where you're stuck with the big maps and the little maps. You have the same situation with this. In order to make that change, which I think is for the better, you have to stick with this kind of really crappy set time where you have a huge amount of clicks. And so...
You don't. You can do whatever the hell you want and just do it.
Sure. Maybe they wanted. Maybe they really wanted the lanterns to shine again with the new lanterns and the old lanterns. I don't know. All I know is that Scarab needs to be watch listed. We need to start going ahead and trying to push.
Yeah.
Push that narrative.
You got to remember. Yeah. So we can talk about it on our podcast all we want, right? And you got to remember, it's got to be these other folks that whine and complain and moan the same way they moaned about Thanos and got him errated. So,
but you also got to play. That's the other thing. Moaning doesn't do anything if someone's not playing and succeeding. That's the other thing. Because Thanos, everyone complained, but Dan, you were winning with Thanos. Scott was doing really well with Thanos. It wasn't like people complained and no one ever played him. There were tournaments and high placements.
We had more tournaments lined up last year than we do for this year.
Yeah.
Or I don't remember all the tournaments last year. So.
Well, I mean, there was a lot more Brad tournaments last year than there was this year.
Right, but no offense to Brad. The Brad tournaments are more feeders to bigger tournaments.
Right, but then...
Unless it's specifically like a charity tournament.
I mean, I don't know. We traveled to Columbus for a bigger event. We had PJ's event. The West Coast guys had some events. There was more last year.
I feel like everybody's just giving the fuck up. Like, they just don't even try to put it out there. Like,
well, I wonder also how much of that is just trying to keep pace. I mean, I don't want to keep defaulting to the economy. It's not like the economy is that much better. So it's like being able to afford some of these new pieces, or like Carnage Silver Surfer, right? Like super meta piece and it's $300-$400 or something. So,
yeah.
But
I can't justify spending that much money on it when there's like 2 times a year I can play it. Like,
But all that being said, though, I think Modern will be fine because I don't know. We'll have 2 sets by the time Worlds comes around, at least. So even more nonsense that could be coming out. But either way, kind of dialing it back real quick, back to the Rock Cup and Silver Age and Sunday.
No dialing it back, Alex. We're in bitching and moaning now.
I know. Well, you were complaining about the prizing and losing that from Sunday. The one thing you didn't emphasize was that part of that has to do was the money that was added to the event.
You know what?
You didn't mention money at all.
don't want to not mention the money. I'm very excited about the money. Let's be clear.
Because real quick, it is first place gets $1,500. Second place $1,000. Third and fourth is $500. 5 through 8th is $225. 9 through 16th is $75. So even if you make top 16, you leave financially with, you double your money with what you entered with, and a little bit more. You paid $30 to enter, and you left with $75. So making top 16.
Yeah, that is awesome. Let me just say that's awesome. I want to be clear for everybody out there that is awesome. Money is awesome. To quote my favorite rapper, Rick Ross, "Money make me come, money make me come."
Okay.
So it's a Rick Ross song. So at either rate, so putting all those two things together, right? Money's great, but my motivating factor for me personally, like I think I've stressed on this episode, is I want to be able to design game elements and have game elements in the game. And like I was the person, in 2016, like I was interviewed after I won the roll-off against Phil Isaacson Jr., but then I lost to Easton that year. And the question was, are you excited about the $750 you won? No. I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off because I didn't win.
Yeah, and I feel like in this case you're kind of by far the minority.
I get it.
People would be mad. Don't get me wrong, but people have been clamoring for the Rock Cup to bring money back.
And I agree with you.
Money
Alex.
events bring in people. That's part of the reason Brad's events have been a lot of success too, is because of the money portion of it. I think, not to be like that's the only reason. I'm just saying that's one of the reasons. So it's I don't want to downplay that because that's
and I
huge.
agree, and it's so huge, right? So I'm definitely, if not the minority, I'm going to say I'm one of two. Because I do know of someone else that we play with a lot that has that same motivation. That, you know what? Yes, if I win $1,500, I know exactly where that $1,500 is going to go for bills and stuff. Right?
You wouldn't just get $1,500 of HeroClix? That's what I would do.
Maybe that's also a possibility. No, I mean,
does any of it also come into the fact that you've already designed a map before?
Design a map
does get to design a map. Pretty big for some people, like a lot of people.
It is. I've actually gotten to design 2 maps. And no, that's super cool, right? But there is, to me, a distinctive difference between a map and, because I have already gotten to do the map, there's a difference between the map and something that is available in a booster. Because the map is more of a niche HeroClix product.
Sure.
And the booster is something that goes out to a much wider audience. And, maybe at the end of the day, maybe it just comes out to be like an ego thing. But
it's kind of leaning that way right now.
It certainly sounds that way as we talk about it. But I don't really want it to sound that way because it's not. It's just I play the game. I play HeroClix. Sorry, Kyle. I mean, I play HeroClix because I like tiny little superhero figures, right? And I love Iron Man and all this other stuff. That's why I play HeroClix, is because I love playing with little plastic figurines, and I want to design little plastic figurines and things that go with the little plastic figurines.
Mm-hmm. And that's fine.
That's what I was going to say. Like, sometimes you just, you have something that, you wish was in the game. You're like, man, this would be awesome. So if you had the opportunity to, for me, that would be seeing a legacy card for King Thor. I'm like, man, if I could do something to make a King Thor legacy card happen, like, that would be awesome.
We've already got one Chase figure from that set.
Yeah, Rick Jones.
Rick Jones.
Yep, so it is possible. But either way, I want to emphasize, let's not let Dan's high standards raise everybody else's standards. That sounds wrong. Everyone should have good standards. But either way, this is incredibly good pricing. This isn't just coming from staff.
And hold on. Let me just reiterate it from my high standards pedestal.
Don't settle for less. Get the best.
Yes.
Go.
There you go. Yeah, thank you, Jason. Jason, you almost let me cop out, didn't you?
Yeah, almost.
But no, it is very good pricing, right? Like, so $1,500 is a good amount of money. Design a map is really cool. It is really cool to have a map design. And I don't even know if I have like an idea for a map at the moment. Because I got to do the Pal Farm and I got to do Mr. Chomp Swamp. I will say that if we do a bystander, guys, I think we got to do Mr. Chomps.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, I hadn't considered that.
So you can play the Mr. Chomps bystander on Mr. Chomp Swamp.
Yeah, we had a debate when we were talking about prizing, and it's like, if you were on a team and you had to debate between a bystander and a map, what would you choose? And in my head, it's like, well, bystander makes a lot of sense, but man, that seems like really difficult for a lot of people to be like, hey, the three of us have to come together with a like joint effort on, we want to make this bystander.
Right. Yeah, so for
like,
me, right, if we get the opportunity, the three of us if we get an opportunity on Saturday to win, I will say I'm probably going to defer to y'all, right? Because I've gotten to design a map. But I would say if we do get to do the bystander, Mr. Chomps would be a pretty good thing to make.
It has to be like Mr. Chomps or like a magic chicken wing or something, right? Like,
yeah, I'm down for the magic chicken. Yeah, I'm totally down for making our bystander a chicken wing too.
Yeah, unfortunately for maps, if we won, like, all the places we might choose are probably trademarked. Like, we couldn't choose like Chipotle for Tyler or like a Buffalo Wild Wings.
You can choose one of those
places. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, we could totally call it the chicken wing place.
Yeah. That needs to be the name of the map, the chicken wing.
Yeah. There you go.
Wings and things.
See, that's what's exciting is we get to talk about it on the podcast, right? Then if we actually win, then we're like, well, we can't talk about it anymore now.
Oh, yeah. The NDA and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So, at any rate.
Perfect transition. Do we want to talk at all about what we're thinking of playing at this point? Or
not really?
You know what? Well, I can't play Thanos, so that's sure.
I could talk a little bit of my recent thought processes, if you guys don't feel comfortable yet.
I don't know. How about this, Jason? Do you feel comfortable?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. If Jason doesn't feel comfortable, I don't feel comfortable at the moment because I'm still ironing out a few things. But you know what? No. You know what? I am okay. Clixed Off was not established to be hidden with what we're playing. I am playing fucking Unimind.
From the movie set. Yep, from the movie set Unimind.
Oh, the movie set. Oh.
No,
just kidding.
He's just kidding. I'm not playing the movie set Unimind.
I'm gonna play the movie set.
Oh yeah, we should. Oh man, if only there was a third one.
Oh shit, Jason! I forgot. There's two of them.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Shit.
We really needed a third one so we could just be Team Unimind.
Yeah, there you go.
There's fucking 2 Unimind. We
Missed
could have.
opportunity,
We
wasted.
could have both played Unimind at full.
What are you talking about? We can play Unimind. It's cool for both of us.
Well,
That-
not
that's-
full for the Mighty Thor one.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, 300, whatever. 295, whatever it is.
Yeah,
I can't even.
295 and an equip for the Mighty Thor one, and just full 300 for the movie one. I totally forgot that the other one existed. To be honest,
Right?
even though I did was
feel like
go ahead.
Everyone forgot about the set before they released it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
It came out at a weird time, too.
yeah, I will say my Eternals are from the movie set, because they're some of the best Eternals that they've ever released.
Yeah, they're good.
But so at any rate, but I've still got some stuff ironing out. I am going to play Unimind because they ripped Thanos from me. Because if not, I would have definitely played Thanos post double errata in silver, because he's that good in silver whenever he has access to Mad Gem.
Yeah. Yeah, so for me, because I was getting those daily texts from Dan, what are you playing? What are you playing? Somehow he got into my Alexa system and she was asking me. This is real weird, but he's very tech savvy, so I'm not surprised. But I finally had to sit down like yesterday or the day before and look at things, and there's a lot to take in with Silver, especially with new rules. It's easy to fall into the diatribe of, oh, Silver is just modern with a sprinkling of silver, which is kind of true for my team idea also. But I feel like it leads a lot of people to just not go back and do it's not the right word, your due diligence at looking at Silver Age pieces to see, oh, maybe there are some that are better than they were before. Case in point being, one really good figure for non-theme teams that I would never have considered playing until now is the Trouble Alert Green Lantern at 30 points. Primarily because he has Green Lantern Core, so he gets the green ring for free, and he has TK Barrier, Enhancement, Sidestep, Flight. Then you give him the ring, all for 30 points. That's... Sure, you have Chip, but he's pretty also good on his own. It's one of those figures you just don't think about because, right, you think of the Trouble Alerts as purely Trouble Alerts. Another one that I strongly considered, because listening to all the team builds, not just in our chat but others, the one thing that is prevalent is that there's just so much equipment out there. Multiple teams having 4 to 5 pieces equipped, which is great. So for a hot second, I really considered, do I want to somehow play the Trouble Alert Green Arrow for giggles? I'm not, because that's not a good play.
Giggles indeed.
Yeah, because that's the one that gives them the dude, whatever his name is, Dr. Gulliver.
Yeah.
And if they roll a 1, all other characters that have standard damage symbols have tiny instead, and their equipment becomes unequipped. So in my head, that's just like, how funny would that be? You roll up, and you just have everything equipped, and it just falls to the ground. Like, but that's my thought. That was my thought process going into Silver was, what pieces do we have that affects equipment? What pieces do we have or is affected by equipment? What pieces do we have that work well on smaller maps, have some really good ranges? What about things against retail? Because retail is in Silver Age and modern now also. What about all those old equipment? You go back and look at pieces. Like, it's easy to fall into the gems and the rings, but like, don't neglect different equipment such as the good old Beetle Booty. because you could just assign that now, so you don't have to worry about.
By saying beetle booty, you mean Ock arms, but yeah, we get it.
No, beetle booty as in the beetle pod from Earth X, because the problem with it before was it was a heavy, right? And you had to be able to equip it. Wasn't it a heavy? Now you can just
same thing
assign
with the Ock arms, right? They were heavy as well.
But it gives you wing symbol toughness, but modify speed +2. Pretty good on a 2x2 map nowadays. Yeah, being able to just equip +2 to speed in and of itself is great. So it's things that like that to consider. What I ultimately settled on is with that kind of what is the craziness that is modern in Silver Age, I realized how great I think Merlin is going to end up being. And I've talked about Merlin before, and I get laughs. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, you always talk about Merlin. I especially think he's really good in Silver because of how many constructs are just free popping out, free knocking back. And I don't know if it's because I keep getting beaten by Isaac in top 8, and he beats me primarily because he has 50 free actions. And every time he beats me, I'm like, man, I really wish I had Merlin on my team to make that just 3 or 4 of them. I can maybe manage 3 or 4, not like 12. So my team is built around that. I'm still working around some parts, but I'm looking at maybe Carnage Silver Surfer, maybe like a Sky Tyrant. I don't know, something to work with the future or past, whatever Merlin has, Cosmic, Mystical.
Cosmic, but Merlin has Cosmic.
I think he has Mystical too.
He does.
Yeah, Cosmic, Mystical, Past, and Ruler.
Yeah,
is those 4. So equipping him with a ring isn't bad. He's probably one of the few figures you're like, I don't care if he power actions, because you probably prefer that since you're limited on free actions. So it's like, I don't really care if because he also gives you +1 action total. So that's really the figure I'm looking at right now, because I think it does inhibit a lot of teams that are going to rely on a lot of free actions to just do a lot of shenanigans.
That's a lot of teams right now.
Yeah. So that's what I'm looking at. I feel pretty good about it. I got to get into testing and figure out if I honestly want to equip them with a ring, or if that's just a waste of points, and if there's something better. But
that's true. All right. So for the last part of our show today, anything else on Sunday you wanted to talk about, or Silver? I think that gives us a pretty good discussion.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else about the whole weekend to kind of talk about. We'll obviously, and we've got 3 weeks until the event, so we'll probably have another episode or 2 before then that we'll talk more Silver Age, more stuff about it. So
So I was going to say, Jason, I think the one thing we can say about your team and the way that we've composed it is, remember, you're going to have fun, or you're going to have fun.
Right.
There is no option in the middle. You're going to have fun, or you're going to have fun.
I feel like the other phrase we could say about his team, without giving too much away, not that we're trying to be secretive, but is Bucket of Swords. Like, I think that's fair. Bucket of Swords.
Oh yeah, Bucket of Swords for sure.
Because once again, what I mentioned in the thing is that things from outside the game aren't unique. So if you play someone that could bring in a sword, or bring in any of some of the gem ones, I think also count. Isn't there a few infinity gems that can bring in any of the gems?
Bear of any of the gems.
Bear, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, fucking soul swords are $75 now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got like 5 when they weren't.
Right. Like, I'm pretty sure we said on the show, like, get those soul swords while you still can.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think we did on multiple occasions.
Yeah, and then because that's what they've sold for on eBay.
Because the supply dried up.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. So the answer to answer your question is why? I don't know.
Really.
I don't know that we have a why other than the sword's really good, and they stopped. The events stopped happening, and
there's a lot of good mystic pieces for it.
Yeah, all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I think there's one particular ruling I want to talk about that I'm not happy about.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I don't know that a lot of people are happy about this one. The terrain ruling. So we got rulings today, et cetera, et cetera. The big one was the first turn immunity ruling, and we'll just talk strategy here, right? You have a piece of elevated terrain. You carry up a couple of Venom Magnetos. You TK that terrain underneath a character in first turn immunity. You then TK that piece of terrain out. They take a damage through first turn immunity.
Can we call this the hokey pokey?
Yeah. Sure.
Put your terrain marker in, you take your terrain marker out.
Right. So
and then your character's knocked out.
And I think it was Dustin Cedars had played us in Texas a little bit, and I think some of the credit goes to Adam Friedman here on this one. But at the end of the day, it's like in Silver, there's a version of the team that can do it like 4 times. And the big thing is that it has Leech. So Leech also gets through first turn immunity.
Because he doesn't target.
So it doesn't matter what cool defensive abilities that you have, because you don't. So
yeah, it's one of those. It falls into the category of it is gimmicky to a degree. It could be absolutely detrimental to your team, but it could also be absolutely not detrimental. I don't know how well the team holds up. Like if after that first turn, if there's still a lot of pieces alive, right? It feels to me kind of like, remember, was it some of those old Vulture teams or something? It was like a team where it's like, oh, well, this is really going to screw over certain teams. Like, certain teams are just not going to be playable. This is a thing that could be seen a lot, but
right.
Most of the other teams are probably fine. You just have to mitigate it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what this felt like if it was going to be main stage with everywhere. But luckily, tournament organizers are already kind of making the move on that, so...
Yeah, I agree. So that's just a big one. I just think first turn immunity should be first turn immunity.
Yeah, agreed.
Right. And they're going from this thing that it's, knockback damage is not damage from an attack or whatever. It's not damage from a character. It's damage from the rules. Which doesn't even make a lick of fucking sense. Like,
it shouldn't be damage from any source. Like...
Yeah,
I think the problem is that they've really shot themselves in the foot. They really don't want to rely on a win ruling to make a change like this, because it counters literally what the rules state. Like, the rules literally state you can do this, because knockback damage is not part of, like you said, comes from a person, so thus it's not part of first turn immunity. So if they counteracted that and say, oh no, it doesn't happen, then they're strictly contradicting their own rules.
I know.
And they
which they've done on the win before, to be clear.
Right, and what has that led to? A lot of problems, like the whole Black Panther declaring actions without a target. That led to a lot of problems for a while, until they finally had to let things retire, and then errata them, or at least we did for Silver Age. So it's like I don't like the ruling, but that's because I don't like how they did the rules. So I actually do like the specific ruling. I like that they didn't just like, oh yeah, you're right. But I would have appreciated something like, no, this works, but we're looking to maybe adjust it in future future versions of the rules, or something to say like, hey, we know this is a problem. We cannot fix this in the win. this has to be a rules adjustment, but that is not coming until there's a rules change, right? I think that would have been a more appropriate response.
Yeah, and that's fine. And other cool things that we did get, the Iron Spider chameleon thing works.
Yeah, and it's not just chameleon. I mean, I think the big takeaway here is that a lot of people were concerned about. There's a lot of confusion with how things used to be with, like, oh, they have the team ability or they have use of the team ability. And so there's a lot of confusion there of, oh, Iron Spider, all friendly characters have this team ability. Well, does that mean they have the symbol? Does that mean... No, this is saying strictly, hey, they have it. So anything that says if they have it, friendly characters with this team ability, well, that counts for these people that have it. It's basically declaring something we already knew, but it's really just helping those that are still thinking of older rules.
Yeah.
And maybe that led to some confusion.
I agree.
But that's good. I'm glad it didn't go the other way somehow, because Iron Spider is pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. All right.
One other rule thing that I think is important to note is the team-up cards. That is something to note, that when it's on your sideline, you could, if you have all the requirements for team-up, and you have someone on your sideline, they can be using their alternate game card, their team-up card. Now, that doesn't mean that their effects are in play if they're on their sideline, unless there's something sideline active. But that is important for certain things that, and maybe a future case, if we get more team-up cards, which I hope they do, because I hope that's how they're pushing theme teams, is more like useful team-up cards. That's useful for like swap teams or certain teams that's like, hey, I'm playing this team-up card, but I don't know if I want to use them or I don't want to start with him. That's neat that they're allowing you to do that. I don't know a lot of use cases for it, but
I'm sure
it's an option.
I'm sure we'll figure out something.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move into final thoughts. Kyle, we'll start with you. Thanks for being on. Do you feel like you got adequate use of your prizing?
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, just listening even there's like a lot of new information that was coming out with regards to the HeroClix for Huntingtons, and I was able to see it before, but kind of hearing from the inside perspective, I'm like, man, I was kind of eating it up myself without even participating as much.
But hey, you also got it early. Everyone here is going to hear this in a day or two, so you're privy to a little insider knowledge.
Yeah, that's why I'm the special guest. I got that special head start.
There you go. Alex, final thoughts?
I'm excited that I have a team idea for Silver, and I'm excited that I get to play. But I'm also really excited that we got the stuff for the Rock Cup up, so I can't wait for it to... I hope everyone else is excited, and I hope the turnout is going to be what I think it's going to be, because I think people are going to be... Like you said, everyone's hungry for some events, and I think this is a perfect event to get people out to play.
They starved.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, final thoughts?
I'm just excited to play real HeroClix on a table.
Yeah.
With people that are alive. Yeah.
So
alive?
No,
not a computer screen.
No dead people allowed for Jason.
Yeah.
That's fair. So
better than playing on a computer screen.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely glad to not be playing it on a computer screen. So, well, from my end, looking forward to seeing everybody at Rock Cup. Probably have another show between now and Rock Cup. We'll see what comes up. But as always, thanks everybody for listening to Clixed Off today, and we'll talk to y'all next time.
Later.
See ya.
Later.